What I want to really jump to now is what I'm sure is what's on most of your minds about what in the world are our plans for the coming season, for the coming 2020-21 season. And so I'm going to try to go through this as quickly and efficiently as possible. And I'm happy to take any questions if there's time. If there's not, please do follow up with me one-on-one. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. If you're particularly passionate about this arena, I would love to talk with you. We might not have a lot of time to get into too much detail tonight. I can tell you that I do have a tentative season calendar that's outlined with dates and with a subscription concert series of 5 programs, as has been our custom for the past few years. And that is all written in pencil, in very light pencil, that can easily be erased and rewritten. I have shared that season program with the board and with our principal staff, just to try to bring some level of normalcy to our organization as we move into the future. This is the usual time where we would be finalizing the upcoming season operating budget as well as the program plan. I am not prepared to give a lot of detail about that program plan to you this evening, with the understanding that all of it is subject to change, and that it is very, very likely to change from the current format that it is in, that I wrote 2 or 3 weeks ago. And things from 2 or 3 weeks ago to these days feels like it was 2 or 3 years ago. The scene is changing rapidly. The information, the scenarios around our industry and our ability to gather, it's all changing very quickly. What I want to share with you, and I'm going to now attempt to share my screen. I'm going to show you some slides of a presentation that I attended back on Tuesday, May 5th. And I'm going to go to full screen. Is everyone able to see this? I'm going to turn and look at Molly. Okay. So I'm going to share a couple slides with you of a presentation that I attended that 5 of our industry partners gave. This was a collaboration between Chorus America, of which we, the Master Singers, are official organizational members, the American Choral Directors Association, the National Association of the Teachers of Singing, the Barbershop Harmony Society, and the Performing Arts and Medicine Association. I might have gotten that last one wrong. Perhaps Reg can clarify exactly in the chat. And there were two medical and scientific industry doctors who shared with us some information. And we were specifically looking at what are the keys to reopening for us group singing. When will we be able to reconvene having the rehearsal format as we have known and loved for so long, having groups of people come together in the same room to rehearse, and then likewise the traditional format that we have used for giving concerts, in which performers and audience are all together in often close proximity in the same room. There are a couple key items here for our industry going forward. The overarching one that all of us are eager to have is obviously the development of the vaccine, which is the current projections for an effective vaccine is 18 to 24 months from now, question mark. Another key is having drug treatments available for the virus, which we think might be a little faster. That's projected at 6 to 12 months from now with a question mark, and also a question around the overall effectiveness of those treatments, because we know that it often takes a lot of time for tests and trials for all of this to be right. Of course, now we're in the world of social distancing. A number of us are accustomed to wearing masks when we are in person. A lot of different industries, their workers are wearing gloves as well. So this is all information that was shared at this, this presentation that I attended back on May 5th. I'm going to jump to now a different set of slides from the same presentation. And here's the real keys that are important to me. So overarching keys And this can be applied to a lot of industries and are very relevant, not just to what's happening across Washington state, but here in Benton and Franklin counties. Keys to reopening. The number one key is the availability of widespread testing. And there is a particular testing model that the professionals on this call are recommending. The one is called the PCR, polymerase chain reaction test, which is the most effective in terms of that it only has about a 3 to 5% false negative rate. We need extensive contract screening, and we need possible use of some kind of a rapid diagnostic test. The different kinds that have been recommended, like if you followed what the Gates Foundation has offered, some of those rapid diagnostic test models are not as sensitive and are not as effective as the PCR, which is kind of the industry standard that we are looking at. People need to be symptomatic for that rapid test to work. It has a much higher false negative rate right now, and it's just not considered a safe mechanism for testing groups of people singing together because of the intensity of how we breathe, of our respiratory systems, and how we send particles into the air when we phonate. The ideal situation outlines the following. So if you imagine a future Master Singers rehearsal on a Tuesday evening, every individual would be stopped and screened at the door. They would be screened for 4 items. They would receive, they would do the PCR test. They would do the virus test in a private space. So there's a lot of privacy issues around around what we would have to screen for at the door. But in a perfect world, we would have one PCR test available for every individual that walks to the door. So when the 60-voice symphonic choir is in session, plus me, plus Ben, plus Reg, plus Wendy, plus any other staff, we need that many of those PCR rapid tests available. Everyone would obviously be screened for symptoms. We would check temperatures and make sure that they are 99.4% Fahrenheit or less, and there would be a pulse oximetry check. That is a very different universe from what we are accustomed now, where people basically just walk through the door, come into the sanctuary, and have a seat. Sometimes we have an attendance sheet where you might sign in. This is the current ideal suggested scenario for choirs reconvening what we used to do in terms of rehearsals, of people meeting together in person. And it is the lowest risk model that is available. Jumping ahead, a higher risk scenario is if that PCR virus test was not available. So if all we could do was screen for symptoms, check temperatures, and check oxygen levels in the blood, those are still some excellent parameters, but it's not a complete scenario. This is considered a high-risk situation for choirs. I'll just let you read this one. By the way, please don't try to spray your mask with bleach or any other kind of disinfectants before you go out in public. There's a lot of issues. They talked at length about the parameters around singing with a mask on. I have tried it. It is incredibly uncomfortable. It is not very efficient. I mean, for me, even just having to wear a mask for an extended period of time and not even talking a lot, that in itself is a bit uncomfortable and a bit of a burden. And the idea of singing with a mask is just not a scenario that's being recommended. I'm going to skip some of these slides for the sake of time. All of this information is also available. This is available on YouTube. You can watch the entire presentation if you are interested.